Welcome to Mind Genix. You don't want to make mistakes in your relationship again and again, and eventually, lose the man you want to spend the rest of your life with. Whether you're looking for a long-term partner, or already have one, it pays to have the right habits in a relationship. The thing about guys is that they don't always know how to articulate what they want in their woman. And this leads to all sorts of misunderstandings and unfulfilled expectations, which can put a wedge between you and your partner. Here is the story from Emma about her relationship that come into disaster.
Hi, I'm Emma. I was working as a freelance journalist, and Liam was the CEO of a tech startup. We started dating after I interviewed him for a feature on the year's biggest tech turnarounds. He was good-looking and in great shape without being vain. He was passionate about his work. He made me laugh, and the sex was incredible. Best of all, he wasn't afraid to show how into me he was, which made me feel safe enough to open my heart in a way I hadn't in years. That's why 6 months in, when he said he wanted to talk, I was totally blindsided. "I think you're great, you're beautiful, you're kind and smart and fun," he said as we walked. "You're everything I've always wanted in a woman, but something's missing. I just have this feeling you're not the one for me." His words hit me like a freight train, knocking the air out of my lungs and leaving me disoriented and confused. I pushed him to say what exactly was missing and begged him to tell me what I could do differently, but he couldn't give me an answer, and nothing I said or did would change his mind. It was the second worst day of my life. The worst came a few months later. You see, at the end of our walk, I did something I'd promised myself I'd never do. I lost whatever dignity I had left by asking him if we could still be friends. It was a mistake I would pay dearly for. We continued to text and chat a couple of times a week, send each other funny pictures or articles we found online, and check in with the odd goodnight text. I loved knowing he was still thinking of me, and that we could still laugh together, and I figured at some point he'd realize I was the perfect girl for him and we'd get back together. Boy, was I wrong. It was a Monday afternoon when he first mentioned her name. We were on the phone as he drove home from work, and he said he'd gone shopping with Stephanie that weekend. I felt a jolt of jealousy through my body when he said her name. "Stephanie?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "I don't think you know her," he said. "She's just a friend. She works with Tyler." I tried not to make too much of it, but she kept popping up on his social media. I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw her comment on his profile picture. "Love that face." I reminded myself he'd said she was just a friend. I saw her sitting next to him in a group photo and reminded myself she worked with his friend, so it was only natural she'd be hanging out with the group of them. But when she posted a selfie with the two of them where she was kissing him on the cheek, it was hard not to panic. I mean, they looked like a couple. And though the image jarred me at first, I told myself she probably had a crush on him, a lot of girls did, but that didn't mean he felt the same way about her. That night, I missed him so much I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about when we first met, how good it felt when he looked at me and the sweet things he used to say to me. Then, just as my heart ached so much for him I thought it might burst, he texted me, "Hey, you up?" My heart leapt seeing his name on my phone. He was thinking about me too. My plan to wait before texting him back went out the window, and I wrote back right away. "Yep, can't sleep, what's up?" I tried to sound casual. "Nothing much," he responded. Then, "I miss you, we should talk." After a quick check in my phone's camera, I agreed to FaceTime with him. When I answered, he was sitting up in bed with his shirt off. He looked tired but handsome. His face had a few days of scruff on it like I liked, and I melted seeing him. We started talking about old times, and I saw a sadness in his eyes. I felt connected to him in a way I hadn't in so long, and all I wanted was to be with him at that moment. Just laying together, cuddling and talking like we used to. I wanted to bask in the glow of his complete attention and to feel how much he adored me, and it seemed like he felt the same way. Finally, he said, "Emma, you know I love you, right?" "Yes," I said, my heart opening a crack. "I love you too." I felt a warm glow in my chest. "You mean so much to me," he went on, "and the last thing I want is to hurt you." "Okay," I said. "Anyway, well, you're not stupid. You've probably figured out that I'm dating someone." My stomach clenched and my throat got tight. "It's that girl Stephanie, and I wanted you to hear from me that we got engaged. I felt like I'd been slapped hard across the face. I forced a smile and said I was happy for him. He kept talking. It came from out of nowhere. I know it's quick, but I've never felt this sure of anything before. I hope you understand. But I wasn't really listening. I was stuck in my head and knew if I stayed on the call, he'd see me cry, so I made an excuse and ended the call. Suddenly, I was completely alone. My friends would all be asleep, and there was no way I'd be able to sleep now, so there was no escape from the images forcing themselves into my mind, of her laughing and touching his chest as they lay in bed together, of him kissing her passionately without a thought of me at all, of him standing at the altar with her, looking deep in her eyes and pledging his love for her. It was like I was watching a movie of the life I'd dreamed of, but with someone else playing my part. I kept thinking, no matter how much he said he loves me, no matter how great he says I am, despite all the things he likes about me, he didn't choose me. He chose her. Why? He said he'd wanted someone smart and funny and playful, and he told me I was all of those things. Then what was I missing, and what could I have done differently to make him feel as certain about me as he now was about her? Every man I'd ever dated always had one foot out the door. Not a single one had been certain I was it for him, and the reality I was forced to face was that something about me made men unsure. For some reason, the men I wanted just didn't see me that way, and I realized if I was going to break this cycle of rejection, I needed to figure out what I needed to do different to make a man feel absolutely sure I was the one for him.
One of the problems a lot of women run into is that very often, the things they do to get a guy to like them is at odds with what would get him to feel infatuated with them. For example, giving a man everything he thinks he wants, being extremely available to him and always willing to do things on his terms, might get a guy to like you, but would make it virtually impossible to trigger those feelings of infatuation so important for getting a guy wholeheartedly committed to you. All you need is to know how to break away from the old pattern and create a loving relationship where your man gets connected to you in a deep way. Never ever to entertain any thoughts of putting an end to your relationship. Luckily, I'm here to give you the inside track to how men think. Drawing from Emma's experience, here are the top 5 habits that make men crazy about you. Number 1. Play hard to get. Women may wait for an arbitrary amount of time to reply to messages to avoid looking desperate. Worse, they'll pretend they're busy, hoping it'll make a guy more interested in them. It's confusing. And worse, he'll eventually see through this stilted act. This, of course, is a huge turnoff. Give your guy hints that you like him, and be enthusiastic when you're together. Experts find that a person starts falling in love with someone once they knew they wanted them. Number 2. Rock his world. In a nutshell, you need to generate strong emotions within your guy while he's with you. He'll then associate those feelings with you, which naturally creates that spark. Also, it has to do with the fact that being physically aroused can easily translate into a sexual attraction. So, if you can find a way to keep things exciting for him, like doing sports or something physically intensive, then he'll latch those feelings onto you. Number 3. Laugh at his jokes. This could be a game changer in your relationship. First of all, you don't need to be rolling on the floor with tears in your eyes if his jokes bombed. A polite chuckle is perfectly fine, and that gives him the hint that he's not funny. But if your funny bone really is tingling from his witty one-liners, then go ahead and laugh. Number 4. Find strength in numbers. According to several studies, you can be more attractive by hanging out with your friends. This cheerleader effect states that someone's perception of you changes favorable once you're in a group. If you're looking to meet a guy in a bar or a party, make sure to bring your squad along too. Social proofing is a real phenomenon, so use it to your advantage. Number 5. Appeal to his sensual side. There's really no surprise here. Any guy who's interested in women will obviously want physical intimacy in the relationship. But you'd be surprised, and even downright concerned, how many women are lacking this department. Remember, men love being teased, and the delicious pleasure of the slow burn. And of course, men also appreciate variety when it comes to the main event in bed. Make an effort and take the initiative to spice things up every now and then. Better yet, you could even go as far as asking him what he wants, then apply it in bed after. That would make for an interesting topic. These are just few examples from the Infatuation Scripts program. Your guy will instantly enter a state of intense infatuation. It's like a splinter in his mind, and he'll be incapable of thinking of any other women in a romantic way except you. For more information on how to activate a man's infatuation instinct, including exact scripts that do exactly that, check the link in the description below. Thank you for watching. See you on another video.